Shabbat Shalom. It's Rabbi David Barron with my weekly 5-minute Torah talk. First of all, I hope everyone's having a restful and an enjoyable summer. I just returned from a terrific trip where I conducted a bat mitzvah in France and an engagement ceremony in Italy. That was a great opportunity and thoroughly enjoyable. I did run into an interesting issue with the bat mitzvah, which I'm going to talk about in a moment in my Torah talk. But before I begin the Torah talk, I want to urge you to come and join us for the High Holy Days, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in September and October. These are going to be unforgettable High Holy Day services. We have our two cantors, Alicia Pierce, and our new Chazan, Nathan Lamb, joining our music director, Sharon Farber, who just won her first Grammy Award, and a 12-voice choir of all these magnificent singers from the LA Master Chorale and the LA Opera, as well as 4 amazing instrumentalists. So please make sure you circle your calendar late September 24-25 for Rosh Hashanah and join us. Secure a membership and prime seating for these High Holy Days, which will be unforgettable. I'm inviting guests from around the world who are going to share inspirational stories as part of my living sermons. So we look forward to greeting you at our Shabbat services, events, dinners, and at our High Holy Day services. Just go to our temple website, templeofthearts.org, for more information. This week's Torah portion is the portion of Pinchas, and Pinchas was the priest who killed 2 sinners and was elevated to a covenant of peace. What did he do? It wasn't the physical killing of 2 people who were desecrating God's presence by an evil act, and we're not precisely sure about that evil act, but the bottom line was they had reached a point of degeneration. And, I see that happen with a lot of people. If it's drug addiction, if it's pornography, whatever it might be, the tendency is to fall lower down on the ladder. And so the plague was stopped by Pinchas's action, and as many as 24,000 souls were saved. The point being that bringing the people back to a place of respect for values, ideals, and their traditions was critical. And Pinchas accomplished this fact, and he was rewarded with what the Torah calls a Brit Shalom, a covenant of peace for all time. But in the Torah portion, there's also a description of something troubling, which is the daughters of Tzalofchad. These daughters said, our father's died, he had no male heirs, and the Jewish tradition and the tradition in ancient Near East was only the male heir would inherit. And since there was no male heir, what was going to happen to their father's estate? It was going to go to others? That was patently unfair. And so they brought their case, these amazing women brought their case to Moses. And Moses was vexed and wasn't sure what to do, and he turned to the Almighty, to God, and God determined, yes, that it was just that these daughters receive a fair portion of their father's estate, and that it should not go to others. And that's amazing. What it said was that there's a change in the way things operated in the ancient world, and that there shouldn't be this discrimination against women because they are women. I encountered something that was troubling in the bat mitzvah that I conducted in France. We sought a Torah scroll, and I went to one of my friends who connected us with a Chabad rabbi in France, and because it was a bat mitzvah where a girl was going to read from the Torah, he refused to lend us the Torah scroll. And then we went to an Orthodox Moroccan synagogue, same response. So this fanatical refusal of allowing women to take a rightful role in Jewish life is part of what we as non-Orthodox liberal Jews are up against. Recently, and you may have read this article that described a few Hasids who came to the southern part of the Western Wall. The Western Wall is controlled by Rabbi Rabinovich and the Orthodox authorities. So there, women can't pray. Men and women are separated in the Orthodox tradition. But the government of Israel assigned an area near Robinson's Arch, the egalitarian services that are held, conservative, reform, reconstructionist. And there, as I've conducted and many other rabbis have conducted, bar and bat mitzvah services. Well, this woman rabbi was conducting a bar mitzvah, and these Hasids came over. They spit on the prayer books. They began to insult and break up the bar mitzvah ceremony on Shabbat. What a desecration of Judaism took place there. And the chief rabbi, Rabinovich of the Western Wall, while he condemned the violence on the part of these Hasids, also said that this practice was an inappropriate and improper practice. At the end of the day, women, young women who are being trained, as this young woman whose bat mitzvah I conducted, being trained in Judaism to read the Torah, and she read beautifully, and to conduct the services, we can't deny that right to women, just as Moses heard from God that you can't deny the right of inheritance to women. We have to have a change in perspective and recognize that while our Orthodox brethren are part of our Jewish community, we separate from them when it comes to their extremist refusal to acknowledge the practices that we've incorporated into Jewish life. And this becomes an area where we, as liberal and open-minded Jews, have to be more tolerant, even if we experience intolerance from the other side. We elevate our consciousness to take a higher road, but acknowledging at the same time that others do not. But it shouldn't bring us down. Instead, we elevate our consciousness and set an example for those who share our beliefs and approach. Well, the solution was simple. I called a local scribe here in Los Angeles, and he was able to get us a beautiful small Torah scroll, handwritten by a scribe. And the dad of the bat mitzvah transported it to France, and we were able to conduct the bat mitzvah ceremony with no help from our Orthodox co-religionists. But at the end of the day, it reminds us that we're all part of one community of Jewish people and of men and women of other faiths who say our ability to love, respect, and tolerate one another is one of the most important qualities we can have and we can propose in this world that is so often divided by hatred and cynicism and extremism. So for us, let's take the high road at every opportunity, no matter what obstacles we confront, and acknowledge that all of us have a role to play in promoting the values of Judaism, which are understanding, compassion, decency, and one expression that comes to us from Jewish tradition, derech eretz, common decency. In fact, the sages say, derech eretz, common decency, kadma Torah, even precedes the Torah. The way we treat one another is critical. And let's take that lesson to heart on this Shabbat, and I wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom.